Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Not Another Fightcast. I am Andy the Icon Burrows, and again, I am without my co-host, Mr. Phil Campbell. Phil is working himself sick at this minute in time, and he will definitely be back in the show very soon. Please go and give him a follow at PC_commentary on Instagram. Him and another outstanding commentator, Noel O'Keefe, are doing some of the funniest fight commentaries I've seen. Street fights, mad shit, birds fighting. It is wonderful. But I am not alone today, which is wonderful for everybody out there listening to me. I am with one of Ireland's most prominent professional wrestlers, a guy who's competed in NXT UK, and a complete and utter legend of the wrestling game. I am with Mr. Paul Tucker Gallagher. Paul, how on earth are you?
How are you, sir? All good?
Brilliant. Really, really happy to have you on the show. We said at the start, whenever our very first foray into podcasting, which was Phil and I said, look, we wanted to make sure that we cover the gamut of what we describe as combat sports, and professional wrestling fits well into that. Yes, we all know it has a predetermined outcome, but it is a very, very difficult business to be in. So with that said, Paul, how on earth did you find your way into professional wrestling?
Pretty much, mate. Just never grew up. So as a kid, that was always... I think I must have been 8 or 9, and my big brother was actually into it. And I remember him showing me, it was like DX and Kane at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Kane was my favourite wrestler when I was a kid.
Right.
Which is crazy, because obviously...
That's pretty crazy.
I'm like 5 foot, and Kane's like 10 foot, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was looking at your bio, actually, you and I are the same height. I've met somebody who's the same height as me. It's quite shocking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. But I just think from the first time I seen it, it was just so bizarre. And I was a weird kid anyway, so it kind of fitted in with me. And then at that time, like, wrestling was super over and kind of super cool at times. You were falling into the Attitude Era, I guess.
Yeah. The Attitude Era was a weird time for wrestling. We were talking about this off air. My introduction to professional wrestling was my mum and dad setting a hyperactive child down to watch World of Sport. And literally the first thing I saw was Fit Finlay, a phenomenally talented wrestler from our very own shore here. And that was me hooked. And as you say, I never grew up either. I don't think you're meant to grow up. I think growing up's a trap. I don't think you're supposed to.
Yeah. Everyone who grows up sad, man. They're not happy. So
yeah, they are. They're really. It's weird because I was out for a very boring socially distanced coffee walk yesterday with 2 guys from Super Rad MMA, Jack Iron Stoops and Mel Brown, and we were out, and it ended up just as basically discussing our favorite WrestleMania. So as I walk along the towpath, 3 guys who probably should know better discussing our favorite WrestleMania. It was brilliant.
Quality.
Yeah.
Class.
So you really saw Kane DX perform for WWF as it was in, now WWE.
Yeah.
And then how did you actually, from being a fan and then going into being a competitor, what was that like? What did that even look like for you?
So for me, I was always, the way it worked for me, like my brother and me were always at my granny's house anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We're always like beating the crap out of each other and like powerbomb each other onto the sofas and all sorts of stuff. And then I think there was a day I was trying to do a flying elbow, but I wanted to go higher, so I climbed up on the cabinet. And then as I came off the cabinet, I took the light out, and the whole light smashed all over the floor.
Excellent.
And then obviously there was a wee bit of, right, can't be doing this, can't be doing that. And we're always like at each other, like wrestling or watching wrestling or trying to, innovate or create it. My brother kind of went the opposite direction. He would still like keep tabs on it, like he'll watch the Rumble and he'll watch Mania, like a casual sort of thing. But he was a massive kind of Austin guy or Rock guy or whatever, like back then.
I think anybody who watched the Attitude Era, you couldn't not like Stone Cold. I know. Yeah. Even he describes it himself as basically he didn't have a lot of moves. He had like a right hand, a kick to the body, and a stunner. He didn't do a lot of the high flying moves. But his personality just was, as we said earlier on, he was so over. And for anybody who doesn't really understand professional wrestling, the term over is used to be popular, and he was not over. He was over to fucking death. There wasn't a man alive on this planet who probably didn't know who Stone Cold Steve Austin was.
Yeah, 100%. He was like a cult icon almost, you know.
You know, do you ever listen to his podcast?
Yeah.
It's absolutely tremendous, and you're right, because he crossed over into Broken Skull Ranch. You ever watch Broken Skull Ranch as well?
I've seen a few episodes, yeah.
So he's like crossed over like 4 different media, you know, wrestling personality, and then he's gone into, you know, audio media, and then now on to the Broken Skull Ranch. Still keeping the podcast though, because it is absolutely outstanding. So you were basically then told off for smashing up the house with dropping a Randy Savage style elbow off the top of a cabinet.
That's it.
So what age were you then?
I think I must have been 10 or 11 then. So, but yeah, pretty much any time my granny nipped out to the shop, there was, right, here we go. Let's see what we can try out here, you know.
So how did you formality of professional wrestling training? I know whenever I was younger, it really wasn't around. There was no formality to professional wrestling. How did you find professional wrestling school to get trained at, and what age did you start?
I think it started when I was 14 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was I was at a house show in the Odyssey. I think actually, I want to say it was Lesnar Big Show in the main event. Atmosphere was wild, like really, really good. And we came out of the Odyssey. I know you have the big green there.
Yeah.
And there was a whole rake of lads on the green. And obviously, they were pretty solid for just random guys, but then I later found out that it was like UCW at the time. I don't know if you were around for that.
Of course, yeah.
And they were doing always...
UCW's Ulster Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, a bit later became Pro Wrestling Ulster.
Yep, that's a good... Yeah. So they were actually out on the green, powerbombing each other and all sorts, and then everyone was like, what the hell are these guys at? And then they had like a table set up, and some guy went through the table, which was madness back then, do you know what I mean? And then I didn't really know then. I was just like, God, that's amazing. And after that, obviously I would never promote this now, but after that, one of my best mates in school was well into it. And I was like, these lads were just wrestling. Why don't we just wrestle at lunchtime, you know? So we started then wrestling at lunchtime and powerbombing each other onto the recycling bins and all sorts of mad stuff. It used to be, in our school, there was a recycling bin in every corner. And they were all perfect except our one just sat like this. For me, the power bombs are doing swantons every day, you know. Madness. But,
absolutely superb.
Quality. Made for some good lunchtimes, you know.
Yeah, guaranteed. Makes school slightly more interesting if you knew at lunchtime you're about to take a massive bump through a recycling bin.
Yeah. We actually had one time in French, a teacher cleared the room, and at this stage, like a lot of people were kind of going up and watching us just to laugh and go, these guys have lost the plot. And there was a big piece of cardboard left in the room, so we put it between 2 tables, and my mate came over and AA'd me through it. And then we got back in the seats as if nothing had happened. It was pretty funny.
Absolutely outstanding. So you obviously that was a very informal introduction to what being creative as a performer, as a wrestler was. So, and you said when you were 14, you watched these guys basically performing after a show on the green outside, which is now the SSE Arena in Belfast. How did you then find a club to go and train into?
So that was a pretty mad one. It was SummerSlam. I'm really bad with years, but it was Benoit versus Orton for the world title, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother worked in Smith's toy stores at the time, and some random kid was buying a wrestling figure actually. And he says, "Oh, my brother's really into the wrestling. He's staying up for SummerSlam tonight and all." And he was like, "Oh, I'm actually training to be a wrestler." And he was, "Oh, what do you mean?" He was on training in a place in the Krieger Road here to be a wrestler, blah, blah, blah. So then when he got down to the caravan, he was like, "Oh, this kid today was saying he's training to be a wrestler, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, right, that's it. So straight away, I was like, right, I have to do it. And said to my mum, and she was obviously, "Oh, I don't know if you really," I was like, "No, just let me do it." And I think she was just like, "Well, it's going to save your granny's furniture a bit, so I'll let you have a go at it," you know what I mean?
I actually remember that building that you're talking about. I remember where it was now.
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
Craig Road.
Yes, it's the Craigie Community Centre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
that was your
remember
first ever real formality?
that was my first time ever training. So when I started out training, I think I was something crazy, man. I was like 8 stone 3 or 4. And so I was toady, and we walked in, and it was actually, obviously, my mum had to drive us down. It was me and my big mate Chris. He was actually, I think he's like 6'6" now. He doesn't really do it now.
Mm.
And I remember her walking us in, and there was just all these big, jacked, bald dudes with beards. I was like, oh, God. And my mum just shouts over, "Excuse me, 2 boys here for the wrestling?" And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
But it was all done then on judo mats, and then the ring only went up basically once a month.
Mm-hmm.
You were learning your bumps and stuff on the mats, which was pretty come to Jesus meeting for us. Like.
Yeah, now you're not talking about a blue crash mat, you're talking
No,
about a tatami mat, basically a
yeah,
green, sweat-filled, probably destroyed mat that there's not a lot of give in that.
yeah.
That's
So
not.
obviously, you do your first bump and you're like, "Ugh." I actually remember when I took my first sort of bump, I kind of swung my head back and put my arms out and just landed all lower back and back of the head, and I was like, oh shit. And they're like, "You okay?" And I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. Didn't hurt at all.
Inside, you're crying inside.
Yeah.
No, that is pretty amazing. So who were the coaches there? Or was there any real standout guy or girl who was, this is what we're doing tonight, guys. Here's a progress map or whatever that we're going to end up looking at?
So back then, training was it was pretty mad. Sometimes it was good though. So it was like, you would end up running for the first half an hour just outside, like doing laps.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the time, Bonesaw was actually the trainer. He was one of my first trainers.
He
and
now
then,
competes still in Over the Top.
Yeah, with Kings of the North.
Yeah.
With Corbin and stuff. And then the other trainer would have been Duncan Disorderly, who was kind of in the Kings of the North for quite a while as well.
Is he retired now?
Yeah, he's kind of retired. He's been back for a few like charity gigs or rest of my A's now and again, but like he's pretty much sort of done with it.
Yeah. So those were the 2 guys then who were your formative coaches. They were the guys who were, here's how we're going to work. What was the first thing? Obviously, taking a bump, for anybody who isn't into professional wrestling, who doesn't really know what that means, taking a bump is realistically being the victim in a move, either a slam or what now has come to look like a finishing maneuver. That is a skill in itself. It's not even a skill, it's a learned behavior. It's fucking terrifying for most people. So was that the first thing that you really were shown how to do, was to take a bump correctly? Or there mightn't be a correct way.
We learned how to lock up and do like basic holds, like chain stuff. And then I think we finished the session out with learning how to bump. So and it's kind of one of those things, like I even say it now when I'm coaching, because I'll see somebody coming in and taking their first bump, and you can see in their head whether they're going to be back that following week or not. You can see in their face. Yeah. And I'll always say, look, this is going to feel horrendous the first time you do it, but just give it a chance. But people are a little luckier now because at least they get to learn in the ring, and most places will have a crash mat and stuff to get your confidence first, you know what I mean? Whereas back then, you didn't really have that luxury.
No, well, judging by basically a sweat-filled tatami mat that has been overused to death and is now possibly the width of a cigarette paper or a pube, taking a bump on that is compared to taking a bump on a crash mat must be like landing on a pillow of air.
Yeah.
So your first introduction was basically just the collar and elbow tie-up, then straight into what's described as chain wrestling. And chain wrestling exists in freestyle, it exists in Greco-Roman, it exists in amateur wrestling, collegiate wrestling, whatever you want to call it. But it also exists in professional wrestling, and that's a 50% work rate of exchange of holds, learning the flow of what a match looks like. Yeah.
I think we basically did like a wrist lock, a counter to a wrist lock, a hammer lock, a counter to a hammer lock, and then a headlock and a counter to a headlock. That was the basis of it anyway.
Yeah.
and then a
And
lot
that
of
was,
rolling, and then eventually your bumps.
yeah, it's kind of how I would imagine that to go. I was very lucky. I got and watched some of the guys in Titanic training. It was JDP.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's an enormous man. He's an absolutely enormous. He's so nice. He's literally one of the nicest dudes you meet. But I watched some of it, and that's how that was sort of constructed for them. There was a lot of running the ring, running the
Yeah.
ropes, getting that right, and then a lot of, as you maybe pointed out, chain wrestling, working from collar and elbow into different counters, counter to counter, and then they went into practicing a bump, and then it was a construction of a match of now that was, they were given like 6-7 minutes between them to construct the match, which was very impressive
Yeah.
to actually watch people being that creative. How long was it before then that you were sort of not thrown to the wolves, but allowed to be creative and construct your own match within that?
So at the time, me and Chris, I don't know, like way back, I used to wrestle in a tag team called the Outsiders, but that's going pretty far back. And because we were kind of like kiddish, it was the only way of getting us on the shows. So they basically dressed us up as two chavs, and we came out with the bottles of cider and stuff with the Burberry caps. And something had happened, so they were like, look, we're going to give you a slot in the Rumble at our next show, because it was me and Chris had kind of been working. We were the top two trainees eventually after. This was about a year in the training, and they were like, we're going to call you Jonty and Tucker, and I was like, right, okay. And like the thing then was, you didn't really care what you were doing as long as you were getting on a show. That's all you cared about, So we were kind of watching from the back. Oh, I was absolutely shitting myself. Even though it was just a Rumble spot, it was still like, oh, this is what we've been working for. It needs to be good. And I had like some family and friends and stuff there. And we were literally supposed to go out, do one spot in that Rumble, get turfed, and that was us. And I think the last two matches on the card, there was 2 injuries. So one guy was in a hardcore match. He took like a Tazplex, but he landed on his thumb. Completely dislocated it. And then the other match, they were doing like do you remember head cheese back in the day? No?
Yes.
They used to do like the waist lock hold into the leg drop from the top.
Yeah.
So the guy did the leg drop from the top, but he completely crushed the other dude's diaphragm, so he had to get rushed to the hospital. So then it came to us and we're like, right, you're going to have to go out in the Rumble on 3 different occasions here because we've lost 2 lads. We're like, oh, fuck. We thought we had our stuff down, and now we don't, and now we're really panicking, and everybody's getting hurt. So then we came out, and like at that time, you never really knew how they were going to react. Were they going to be like, oh, God, what are these 2 kids doing here? Why are they on this show? But kind of thankfully, when we came out, the place went mental because they found this hilarious. 2 Belfast chavs.
Yeah.
Coming in the Rumble, like it's always going to be a good reaction.
Of course it is.
And I'll never forget it. I was just like, holy shit, this is mental. So we got into the ring, we done our part, and whenever we got taken out of the Rumble, the place was going crazy, booing like mad. So then we got to the back, and who was constructing it at the time? It was actually Stevie Shaker at the time. I don't know if you remember him.
No, I don't remember Stevie.
Stevie Shaker, the baby maker. That was his thing.
Flip me, yes I do now, yeah.
Yeah. He was a character, man. He came up to us and he's like, boys, you're going to have to go out another 2 times, but it's the best thing that could happen. He's like, that reaction was ridiculous. When you just go out again, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So then we ended up, there was a couple of lads in the back, and they were like, listen, why don't you eliminate us? Because they were like 2 good heels. It was like Sanchez and Scott at the time, who was wrestling as Takahiro Fujinami, I think, at the time. So we did like Kobe Kingston's gimmick, the Trouble in Paradise.
Oh yeah.
So basically, we like ducked 2 lines. They kind of held onto the ropes, and then we hit that like in stereo. Those 2 kind of took the backward spill out, and the place went mental. And then we got took out again, and then obviously the place went mental again. And then the 3rd time went out was just flip me. I thought at the time they might be bored of us by the 3rd time, but we would just really got ourselves super over somehow in that kind of short space of time. And it was great because it was so organic, because it wasn't planned as such.
Yeah, it's not.
Just because one of those crazy nights. Do you know what
It's
I mean?
not contrived. It's just something that happened.
Yeah, I think the last time I went out, it took like a gorilla, because obviously I was 8 stone, and guys were like, "Oh, I could gorilla press you," you know.
Yeah.
So I took like a gorilla press out, and I landed in like the 4-0. And my
Brilliant.
mum was freaking out, obviously, because she had never been to a show, and then everyone had been getting hurt, obviously, before our match, so she was stressed to the nines. But everything worked out really, really well, actually. We're
That
really
sounds
lucky
like an
that way.
absolutely outstanding experience.
Yeah, that was awesome. It's one of those ones I'll never forget it.
No, you're never ever going to forget that. It just sounds like one of those times where you couldn't have even written something as cool as that to happen to you.
That was ridiculous. So funny.
So that was your
And
first
great to
foray.
like think back on, you know.
Oh, totally. Like, I mean, for you especially, for somebody who's going on to compete in NXT, and your first time in NXT was actually a top of the bill spot, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was
So, I mean,
as well.
Yeah. So if you're pinning this on to as good, if not better, than top of the bill spot on NXT UK, you can see that it meant a great deal to you. Something like that will never leave you, and nor should it. It shouldn't leave you. It's stuck with you forever. So once you, as you say, you were only 8 stone, young guy, 16 years old.
Yeah.
After 3 spots in a rumble, and where was that held? Was that in the rugby club?
That was in the Welly Park, actually.
Wellington Park. Yeah.
Welly Park Hotel, yeah.
It's a good introduction for your first ever experience as being a professional wrestler.
Yeah, definitely.
So you continued then training with those guys for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So being 8 stone, 16 years old, did you then start to try and strive? You wanted to get bigger at that stage. Professional wrestling, it wasn't like the 80s or the 70s or 60s when a wrestler kind of looked like an average guy. There were people obviously who stood out. But the wrestler looked like an average guy, and they always had, in their terminology, a shoot background, somebody who could legitimately compete in a combat sport or a fight.
Yeah.
But in the era that you started to watch wrestling in and grew up with, the guys looked like cartoon characters.
No, they're mad. Crazy.
Oh my God, Triple H. We were talking about this yesterday. As I say with Jack and Mel, I used to work in a gym in Belfast, and it was WWE show, and all the guys trained in the gym. And meeting the Undertaker, he was an enormous, gigantic human being, but Triple H was like a fucking wall. That's the only way.
Based.
He was so, his back was like, he couldn't have got through that door without turning sideways. He was ridiculous, and that was a guy that sort of stood out more for me. Kind of knew the Undertaker's a big man, but when you see somebody like Triple H, he's 6'2", 3, just like this wall of a humanity, you know.
Yeah.
How did you then think, fuck, I'm going to have to put on weight now. I'm going to have to, try and elevate myself a bit physically.
So the guy, Duncan, was like a PT at the time.
He was really good in terms.
What's that, sorry?
He was in Lloyd's at the time, I think.
Yeah.
He was in Lloyd's the same time I was in that. That's how I kind of knew of him.
So he basically sat us down and was like, and the thing back then was, like, you were just told how it was. Things are a lot more sugar-coated nowadays just because of the way society has kind of become. But it was like, listen, if you want to be a wrestler, better start busting your ass in the gym, because we're not putting you on a show if you look like shit. That was pretty much the 2 cents of it. So then I was like, right, I need to get to a gym. And then I joined the wee gym down in Beaver. And then I went in to do my fitness instructor, because in my head I was like, well, if I can't just go and be a wrestler full time, what's the closest thing to it? I was like, right, if I know what I'm doing in the gym, then obviously I'm going to be able to get myself in some sort of shape.
Yeah.
And then did my fitness instructors, and then I ended up working in Beaver. Then I did my work experience there, and ended up getting on really well. And there was a guy there, Graham Hill.
I know Graham very well.
Oh yeah.
No, Graham really, really well. Graham used to gym me years ago.
Yeah, great lad, and he was like a really good boxer back in his day as well. And he was the first guy to kind of introduce me to actual training. You know what I mean? Like, because when I was 16, I was just walking about and like, I'll do a few curls here, and I'll, try and do a few chin-ups here, and then I'll go on the treadmill. Huh?
Get the t-shirt muscle.
Yeah, pretty much. So then he would like talk to me and show me these like Flex magazines and Muscle and Fitness, and he was like, "Today we're gonna do this workout with you," and I'd be on shift with him, but he was like, "Look, stay out here for an hour before you go home, sure I'll train you." And geez, man, still to this day, I think some of the best workouts I ever had was him just nailing me, like, you know what I mean, just beating the shit out of me. But it was great. And
I wonder if Graham's still in the industry, is he?
He still does a bit of pad work and stuff with people around here. He I'll bump into him now and again, like, and then like he'll even tell you if you ever speak to him. He used to spot me for 2 5 kg dumbbells, and I was struggling.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean? It's mental. It's mental. And then like we worked together for about 5 or 6 years, and then he was away, and then he was back again. And he used to always take someone around and say, "Look, there was like an incline press machine in there, and it was an absolute smashing machine. And back in the day, I couldn't even put a plate on it. I couldn't even lift one plate on it. And then whenever he was leaving, I was stacking it for like 8 or 9 reps.
Brilliant. And
he would always tell people, like, "Look, I know you feel like you're not strong now, but this is the way he was." And he goes, "I used to genuinely spot him if I was." And people would have kind of went, and then I would say, "No, seriously."
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't even be able to lift one plate on that. But he was a beast. Like, he just had such a good mentality when he was training. And then I think I kind of, when I watched him train, I was like, that's the way I want to train. That's how I want to do it. You know what I mean? Because he was just pouring sweat, and he was pumping in irons. He was jacked back in his day as well. He
was. I remember training with Graham years and years ago. He came up and did a few classes, mixed martial arts training with us a long, long time ago. And that's how I got to meet Graham. And then I think it's just he was working in the gym at the time, you know, so that's obviously a similar era. So I remember Graham back in those days as well. Good for him. I'm glad to hear he's actually still knocking about the industry, because it's nice to hear that people he's similar age to me, maybe a year younger, 2 years younger than me. It's nice to see people of our era still in the industry and still passing on some sort of knowledge.
Yeah, because me and him always got on great, because he was big into UFC before it was like mainstream, and I was the same. So like when it was like Ken and Tito and all those boys running about.
Yeah.
But now obviously everybody knows UFC now because of McGregor, I guess. Because
of that. I was nearly cursed there about him because of that guy, Conor McGregor. Everybody loves so much. Dose. So actually go on talk a wee bit about mixed martial arts. You were training with Graham. Graham was training with us at the time, in a fringe way. That would have been around 2000, actually. That would have been it would have been around 2000. So by then I had a couple of fights. So did you ever think of, you know, I'm gonna have a go at this? Would like to try it? Would you ever thought, fuck it, I want to try MMA?
Big time. I had like a massive phase where I was kind of burnt. I was burnt out wrestling, just more so with the scene over here, because it was so, not so much Ireland, but this kind of side of the border for a long time was just so messed up and so political.
Fractious.
It was just horrible. And I was the problem was, because I had done the WWE run, everybody wanted you to coach their school and blah, blah, blah. And then they would be kind of trying to pull you one way and get you to do this and get involved with all the bullshit. And for me, I was like, look, I love wrestling. It's amazing. And I tell these kids all the time, like, it's the best thing you'll ever do, but just stay away from the drama of it, because it'll ruin it for you.
Yeah.
And that's like there's problems in every sport like that. But there was a point where I love you. I still to this day, I think UFC is doing WWE better than WWE is, because their packages and their build-ups are unbelievable.
They've quite clearly, I'm picking in the UFC here, they've very, very clearly stolen
100%.
Huge amount. In fact, I'll give you an example of how I can prove to you that they have stolen from WWE. They even named pay-per-view Bad Blood.
Yeah.
Really? Come on, the fuck. They went through that era of naming pay-per-views before Dana White. I think they were called out, and Dana was like, "Oh, we'll just number them now," and now they've just become numbers. Whereas Bad Blood, Vengeance, all these names, I've heard this somewhere before, some other promotion. And they did the ramp. Do you remember the ramp? You watched Tito Ortiz's entrance, and then you watch Shawn Michaels' entrance with the pyrotechnics. You're like, you fucking nicked that every way, you know. So
100%.
I love that. I think that should be a part of professional mixed martial arts. UFC have gone away from that. They've gone to the floor walk-ins. coming through the crowd. I'm not a big fan of that. I think fighters deserve a wee bit more of a build-up.
Yeah.
Bellator, on the other hand,
I really like Bellator's entrance. Yeah.
Bellator, on the other hand, have done it. Bellator in Dublin, I was coaching Dan Alenjak, Obi-Wan Alenjak. He fought Kiefer Crosby.
Oh, cool.
The ramp walk down, naming lights, the boom, the music, everything is done to it. Literally, that's one of the very few times as a coach I couldn't hear. And I'm partially deaf in one ear, but I couldn't hear a fucking thing. Whenever Dan walked to the cage, it was boo. The amount of noise, the heat that he generated was like nuclear.
Amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
And then when Kiefer came to the ring, it just exploded. This was live on Sky. This just exploded, this noise. And Dan was like literally a wire fence away from me. And we had to shout. It was so crazy. But a fantastic Bellator do it, I think, better than UFC with the ramp, the razzmatazz and music, the lights. KSW, have you seen any of that stuff?
I've heard a lot about it. I haven't seen much of it though.
Polish really promotion, fucking great. Norman Park from here is KSW.
Oh yeah.
Looks like he's fighting Mateusz Gamrot again. That they do the build up wonderfully. Of Marius Pudzianowski, former 5-time world's strongest man. Class. He's nearly 50 and he's still knocking dudes dead. So it's a good way, I think, of being. So did you ever do any MMA training, or did you just sort of go, I could have it?
I did. I think I did like 3 or 4 weeks down in a place called Frames.
Who with?
I actually there was a guy, Stuart, that I used to I'd kind of trained him when he was in Beaver Gym, just with all like plyos and busting him kind of fitness wise. And then he got really into it, and I ended up just going down for a few classes with him, and I loved it. To be honest, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the rolling because it was okay at the rolling, and I tapped a few boys on the first night and thought
that would have been,
and then I got emptied.
2003.
Probably would have been around then, yeah.
I would have been training there.
Yeah.
I would have been training there. It would have been a Wednesday night.
Yes,
I would have been there. I can't. Fucking trying to think. I would have definitely been there.
Yeah, you probably were, you know.
No, 100%. It definitely was, because I didn't stop fighting MMA until 2005. So I had my last 2 or 3 fights while training from there. It was with Graham Keys, who now runs Gracie Barra NI.
Yeah.
Frankie McConville, who I don't think Frankie's coaching anymore, but there was some fucking murderous dudes in that gym at that point. There was. Do you remember Alan Manus, Northern Ireland goalkeeper, training there as well?
Yes.
So similar era.
He was there.
Yeah. So I mean, Alan and I would have trained quite a good lot together at the time. So you would have been. I would have been in the same gym as you. Just never even noticed. That's brilliant. So did you never think about just going, screw it, let's have a fight?
I was like in my head, I was really enjoying it, and then my shifts got real weird in work, and then it was kind of like, if I'm going to do wrestling, this is the only. It was kind of like you get one day off, and the only day wrestling was on was like the Sunday, and I was like, I kind of want to get the Sunday to do the wrestling. Yeah. And at that time of my life, it was like wrestling was everything. It was what I wanted to do, but I did always miss that kind of aspect of it. And the competitiveness of someone actually tapped me, I was like, I have to get him back. I have to get him back. You know what I mean? I'd go home and think about it and freaking, right, next week I need to do this and be ready for this. But it was really cool. Like, it was a really good experience down there as well. Like, good bunch of lads. Stuart went on to do pretty well. Stuart Cowden, you remember him? Stuart Cowden.
I know the name now. I'm trying to put a face to that.
He's got like he would remind you of GSP physically, his physique.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah.
Lucky bastard.
But he just had these big, massive hands, and I think he fought at like 150 or something. I can't remember. But he looked way bigger. You know what I mean? He was just one of those dudes. He was like a Neville who looks.
Yeah.
If you told me he was 200 pounds, I would believe you. You know.
Yeah. That was in an era. I was sort of coming to the end of competing in MMA. I was done with it by then. I'd had enough. Probably similar to you at that stage with wrestling. You were just burnt out. And so at that point, I would sort of just resign myself to the fact I was going to have another couple of fights and call it quits. But I loved that era. That was brilliant fun. That was a really good bunch of humans to be around at that point. It was a really good positive vibe in the gym too. I always enjoyed Wednesdays and Saturdays in there. That was Difficult, tough training, because a lot of the guys, the Thai boxers at the time were going. You still had Jamie Crawford now, coaching Langham Muay Thai. You had Joe Armstrong, who coaches up in FAI there still at the time. Both still competitive, beating the other fuck out of me. It was brutal.
Yeah.
So that was brilliant. That's a very strange little link in between us. They probably trained together, most likely 100% trained together, and can't remember. That's what you get for concussions. Yeah, this is what happens.
Oh, that's the joys, mate. That's the joys.
Totally. So you've obviously then you've bulked up, had your foray, moving around, and tried a few MMA classes. You've put on a bit of weight. What size were you then?
Back then, I would have probably been up to about, I'd say like 12 and a half-ish then, maybe 12.
75, 80 kilos nearly.
Yeah. And I think I was about 75 around then, actually. Yeah.
And what was your next step then? So you were working quite a great deal. I remember that sort of the Irish pro wrestling scene, Ulster pro wrestling scene become pretty fractious by then.
Yeah. I think I was 20, I must have been 21. There was a big mad thing in work, that's how I remember it, because the AWR tours, did you ever go to them?
No, I didn't get that, sadly.
They were really good. So it was like, they had guys like Rob Van Dam and Sabu and all these dudes. And for me, that was like a massive, massive deal. So I went to the boss at the time and said, oh, look, this 2-week tour, and I just want to take my 2 weeks holiday for this, and I'm giving you 5 months notice. Oh, no, we don't have the staff to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And it went on for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I just kind of went, well, look, I won't be in on this date. Whatever you decide to do, you decide to do.
Yeah. And
then one of my mates, Mikey, actually, who worked down there, he was kind of gutted for me, because he was one of those lads, he watched wrestling, kind of. He wouldn't know who Austin was, obviously, and he loved like Al Snow and all the big kind of characters. And again, he just watched it heavily when it was like an Attitude Era. He was a big WCW fan and stuff as well. So he would always just banter about random wrestling stuff. And he'd be like, oh, could you suplex him? Like that kind of a lad. And he rang me. I answered the phone and was like, hello, hello. And then the next thing he blasted Scooter Fire, my entrance theme, down the phone.
Brilliant.
And I was like, what's going on here? And he was like, oh, mate, I'm going to work all your shifts because I want you to go and do this, and I don't want you to get in shit for it. And I was like, oh, that was really cool. So I ended up kind of keeping the job then as well. But I actually said to him, I was like, look, I'm going to be doing it regardless, because it was too big of a gig for me to miss,
You know what? You've done the right thing, and looking back on it, maybe I should have taken more chances and had the balls to take more chances too. But what's the worst you would have done? You would have lost a job in a gym. So fuck. At that point, the fitness industry was really booming in Northern Ireland. You could have walked into any other gym at any stage, and that's obviously why they didn't need the staff, simply because you can fill fucking positions. Because there was a great turnover of fitness staff at the time, so you would have been fine. So well done for making that decision. And you then, was it a 2-week tour you did with those guys?
Yeah, so it was all over Ireland, that one, pretty much. And then I remember, I'm trying to think who, I did like a match with Chris Masters on that one. I did a show
brilliant.
The day before. He was a monster man as well. Big boy.
Huge creature.
But he was lovely, really, really nice. Just super chilled out, real like stoner vibe kind of dude,
Really?
Like what you would have got off him, just the way his like mannerisms and thing. He was just really chilled.
Just wouldn't have seen that from his WWE persona, or sorry, WWF persona at the time. Was a master lock. Do you remember breaking the master lock?
Yeah. Great.
It was a cracking meeting. I really enjoyed that, actually.
But he was great, man. He was really good. And then I tagged with him, I think. It was only 2 nights straight, I think, we tagged, and he was like, man, your work's great, and everything you're doing is good, and just enjoy this, and do this, and think about this, and it was really kind of stuff, like working with those dudes, you pick up the small things, but it's the small things that make the big things mean more,
Yeah. So, on that tour, apart from Chris Masters, who else did you work with that you would have that would stand out to the average guy or girl now?
I think one of the big names would have been Scotty Too Hotty on it. He did a seminar with us, actually. He did like a 2-day, 2 of the days he did like a seminar, basically. And ran over like tag wrestling at the time, I was never really overly tuned on back then. And the way he broke stuff down was just quality, you know. I'm pretty simple, and like really, that's how I'll coach as well. I'll make stuff as simple as possible. And he had a great way about him of kind of breaking stuff down for you to understand. But he was the man, and he's so jacked now as well. He's like
I haven't seen him since, but I did see Al Snow.
Yeah.
I worked the fucking size of him.
I worked Al Snow in the Welly Park, actually. Wasn't it? No, it was Europa. That's right. It was a Europa hotel, and he was jacked to the nines. Although
it's very clear that he left the wellness program a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, it was like a massive learning one for me as well, because he came in. I think he'd had like a stinking flight, and he was just not in good form. And I was like, oh, you know, what do you want to do? And yada yada yada. And he was like, I'll just see you in the ring. I was like, oh,
I'm doomed.
Okay. And then I was like, do you want to know any stuff that I do? And he goes, I've been doing this for years, kid. I've seen just about everything. Just do it. I'll be there for it. I was like, oh, shit, okay. So, but then it ended up panning out to be one of probably my favourite matches, because I was crapping myself. Like, I was kind of, can't believe this guy isn't going to talk to me. I don't know what. And then after, it was like, everything was great. He popped me one point in the match, and I remember just like, I just smashed him, like absolutely leveled him. And I think that was probably the best thing I could have done.
Yeah, because he get a bit of respect from somebody like that too.
And he said to me, he was like, you know, you caught me pretty good with that forearm, and I was like, oh yeah, I just thought that's how you were wanting to work. And then he kind of nodded and was like, all right. So he was pretty cool with me after that. And I seen him a good few times in Scotland and stuff after that, and I think that was like just one of those things. It was like a respect earner, I guess, because I was 19, 20 at that time, maybe.
But to be in the ring, guy, he had a cracking. Do you remember? Well, obviously you do. You'll remember his WWE run initially with, it was what was his first gimmick? It was really terrible. It was fucking awful. What did you call it? I can see it now. It was dreadful. And then they give him Al Snow just to give him his normal name.
Yeah.
And then they give him the head character. Do you remember the head character? We Want Head. That was superb. Very clever.
Amazing. Yeah.
He made that himself. Actually, I heard him talking about that. He made that gimmick himself. It was a cracking idea. And then he was part of the Job Squad. Do you remember that inside joke?
Yeah.
Blue Meanie and him and Stevie Richards and stuff like that.
Class.
That was such anybody who kind of got wrestling at the time got the Job Squad. It was very.
That was great. Great. Like that was the whole twist on that was at that time they'd been bringing in pretty big names, and I was lucky enough to be the guy getting to work them. And before that wasn't really happening in Belfast. So the first one was Big Drew. Actually, he was the first import that I got to work.
Now current WWE Universal Champion Drew McIntyre, an absolute fucking beast of a man, an absolute fucking ox.
Gent as well, man. Such a nice dude.
He was he worked with Insane Championship Wrestling first.
Yeah. Big monster, but like big friendly Gent as well. Really nice guy. Learned so much from him, and he was just super. He was just so approachable as well, because that was my first time kind of dabbling in. He just kind of came out of WWE at the time, so I was like, I don't know if I can hang with these guys. And after, he was like, oh man, everything was great. All you need now is just to get your name out there and do this, that, and the other. And then I think I worked at Evan Bourne after him. So there were two. They were my favorite matches I ever had.
Evan Airborne, do you remember?
Oh, he was the man as well. And like Drew and him, I'd be like, oh, what if I do this? And they were like, oh, they were as bad as me. They were like, oh, fuck, that's awesome. Let's do this. And then we could do this and all that. So going from working those two, and then Al Snow coming in and being like polar opposite, it was like, oh, because I was just expecting him to be like, yay, high fiving me and wanting to smash it. And then the great thing was, because obviously I was the champion then at the time, so it went over those two. And everybody in their head was like, well, obviously Al Snow's not going to win.
Yeah.
And the Kings at the time were having like a bit of a feud with me, so they came out. I think I like suicide dived them, took them out, came back in. And Al Snow just smashes me with head for the finish, which was pretty cool in itself.
I was going to say, that's perfect as it is, you know. getting
So
to be put down by one of the greatest gimmicks of the Attitude Era. It really
that
did.
was
Like
cool.
it was like I'm smiling now thinking about that because it was such a fucked up gimmick that you never would have thought that would have got over, and it got over virtually instantaneously. But he wrote "Help Me" backwards on the head, and spoke to it and yelled at it, had an argument with it, hit people with it. It was absolutely. Al Snow as well. For people who don't really know, he kind of has a legitimate, if that's even a word, background. He was Dan Severn's first corner man in the UFC.
Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't know that.
if you go back and watch Dan Severn's first ever real foray into the MMA world, Al Snow was his corner man. So they were all training together at the time because Severn really didn't have a great deal of experience striking, but he had done a whole lot of professional wrestling with Al Snow. So they worked together for what they didn't know at the time was a legitimate combat sport. You know, they kind of, like a lot of people at the time were thinking, is this bullshit? Is this going to be bullshit? And it turns out no. And Severn then went on to become the legend of MMA and professional wrestling that he is to this very day. I actually met Dan Severn in Belfast. Really lovely. Yeah, fucking brilliant. One of my MMA heroes and professional wrestling favourites. He fought Colin Robinson, a guy from Ballymena who fought in the UFC as well. He fought him on an MMA show by 2004 called Ultimate Fight Night in the Aruba Hotel. Dan was one of the nicest dudes you could ever wish to meet. Really lovely, nice, again, gentle giants. I drove him to his hotel and he got into my car and the whole car just shifted to one side. We're like, oh, holy shit, he's fucking enormous. Such a nice dude. Such a nice guy. So, oh yeah, totally. You meet people like that, you're like, yeah, I'm kind of glad I met him. You say you shouldn't meet your heroes, but he was a really nice fella.
That's cool.
Yeah, so you'd go on the tour, you work with like Drew McIntyre, who is the WWE current champion. You work with Al Snow in Belfast. You work with Evan Bourne. You've been in with some of the top guys of that era.
Yeah.
How did the NXT thing come around?
It was crazy, man. So I was sort of on a really good run at the time, and then I kind of hit my stride and was loving wrestling again. And I always say this, I was kind of wrestling every weekend, but I was just taking it for granted. I was doing OTT had just kicked off then, so I was doing like every OTT, and at the time you just knew something was kind of happening there, like something was building. Like even the first show was so good. And I think the last match I had for them before I got the injury was with Pete Dunne. It's still on their OTT on demand. It's still up there, one of my favorite matches. And if you go back and watch that and look at Pete, he was so good, but his gear was so awful. You know what I mean? He just didn't know who he was at that point.
Yeah.
But if you look at him now, he's just he's the complete package, like, you know what I mean? I guess he's the benchmark for the NXT UK lads as well. And now he's obviously main NXT, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of those guys. So but for you, in essence, being a WWE guy, WWE fan as well.
Yeah.
Somebody ringing you up to say, have you seen NXT and would you like to be on it?
So what actually happened was I worked a couple of matches randomly. I worked Big Demo years before in Ballycastle, or Killian, sorry. And me and him just got on so well. It was a weird one because in Ballycastle nobody knew him, and then anyone who comes in the door will always try and be like, "Oh, how's it going?" and make them feel sort of welcome, you know. And I think he always said that meant so much to him because I was like, "Oh man, how you doing? You want anything? Yada yada." And then it ended up me and him were working each other because the other guy I think no showed that night. So it's like, "Oh, you're gonna work demo?" I was like, "Oh, happy days." And I actually had a cracking wee match, good chemistry and stuff. And then after he was like, "Oh mate, what's your Twitter?" I was like, I don't have it. And his jaw hit the floor. He's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I can barely use this phone, mate. You know, I'm not really tech savvy. And he sort of started laughing. He was like, "Lad, sort yourself out, get yourself a Twitter account." Right, okay. No problems. We got myself a Twitter. I never ever used it. I kind of just set it up to keep like to humor him, I guess. And then we kept in touch. And I think he was on a pretty mad run. He was doing really well, and then there was rumors out then that he was going to NXT, and he came over. It was supposed to be. I remember ICW done Belfast.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
So I was supposed to work that show, but I'd literally just tore my ACL and had the surgery. So I was out for 10 months basically. And I was showing the guy who was doing the surgery like what I would usually do, and will I be able to do this again? And he was like, look, I don't know about backflips and all that stuff, and I'm sure you could get back in the ring, but it'll be very limited. And I kind of thought to myself, well, no, I know I'll get back there again. So I got the surgery anyway. So they basically clip the hamstring and tie your knee down and all that malarkey. You probably know plenty about injuries with the MMA guys anyway.
Yeah, sadly. It's a fucking bane of all our lives, fucking injuries.
Knees.
Well, thankfully, I'm very lucky. I say I'm very, very lucky. I've had a couple of reconstructive hand operations with broken ribs, broken nose, God knows so many other injuries. I'm waiting for a hip replacement, a horrible back injury, but I've never fucked up my knee. My brother, on the other hand, has fucked his knees into oblivion. They're just both shit. He's had operations on them both, to have them reconstructed a few times. So not that I know of, but the knee seems to be it's a complicated joint anyway. It's a very, very complicated, very multifaceted movement-based joint that bears a huge amount of weight. And I've seen your in-ring style. That's going to take a lot of pounding and punishment.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate. That's
not a way. It's cool. So with something like that, coming back from a reconstruction or coming back from the use of basically your own body as a way of knitting your knee back together is something pretty cool. So you had the surgery then, and the next move for you was hopefully, or ICW as it was then, but you didn't get on the ICW show due to injury. Then the next thing.
So after that, I was crushed because I always wanted to work for them, and then I came back after surgery and go work Corbin actually in the first match back. And it went really well, and it did stuff that it was like, I'm just going to do it out there. I'm not going to... taking like a front bump was really scary for the first while because I was like, oh, God, I don't know. And then the following show, I think the guy who was running the shows at the time was Andy T. And he was like, look, Damo's over for the next show. But he says he's only coming over to work if he gets to work with you. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. Awesome. So... and there was rumblings, I think. Everybody kind of knew he was going to NXT. Like, it was pretty much out there. And he came out, worked the match, and then it's on YouTube somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And worked the match. Match went great. And he gets on the mic after. Now, this was not planned or scripted, as far as I know, anyway. And he basically puts me over and kind of, he's like, I might be going places, because the place starts chanting like NXT and thank you Damo, because they figured it out.
Yeah.
And he's like, I might be going places, kid, but I know you're going to be going places with me. He's like, you haven't missed a step, you've still got it, blah, blah, blah. I remember literally nearly tearing up. And I said to him after, I was like, don't. It's crazy. And I think I always say this now, like, I appreciated wrestling so much more after the surgery because I had got into a rut of just taking it for granted and being away every weekend.
Yeah.
And then it reminded me of, like, well, remember when you were wrestling once a month and that was a big deal? Do you know what I mean? So then when I did come back, I was hungry for it again. So as much as it sucked, I wouldn't have changed it. And then Damon was like, look, give me all your stuff, give me all your info. I'm going to try and get you a couple of bookings in Scotland. I was like, oh, happy days, brilliant. And then I got an email. It was like an email from WWE for a tryout. I was like, what? What on earth? And I showed it to my brother and I was like, Jane, this could be legit. And he goes, it might not be, but it looks really good. So I was like, well, the only person I know who was in WWE at the time was Damo. And I think the last time I'd seen him before this, we'd went on a night out to, what did you call it? El Divino, do you remember that? Is that still?
Oh, yeah. It's called something different now, but it's still there.
The Edge or something? I'm not sure.
Yeah, but, I think it was the Edge and then El Divino and that's something else. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, right, okay. Keeps changing gimmick.
Yeah.
But we were going in there, and I think he had like a pair of night gutties on or something. And the guy was like, "Look, mate, unless you have a pair of boots," and he opened his wrestling bag and he goes, "This is the only boots I have," and they were like, "That's dead on." So there's Big Damo on the dance floor with the wrestling boots on, cutting shapes. So it was great. But yeah, I messaged him and I was like, "What do you think about this? Do you think it could be legit?" And he messaged me back and he was like, "Fucking right it is." He goes, "Get yourself ready. I forwarded all your stuff and passed your CV on to them, so obviously they liked your stuff." And I was like, "Oh, right, okay." I think I had about a month and a half to 2 months to get ready, but I was kind of doing a lot of in-ring stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of obviously stepped it up a bit then and kind of Shark Tanked myself. I was like, "Right, lads, I'm just going to stay in. Everybody get in and keep working me. Because the last thing I wanted to do was go to a tryout and struggle on something."
Yeah, or to fail in fitness. That would be,
Yeah.
You might have all the in-ring ability in the world. You might have the great mental intuition to be able to put spots together to work with anybody. But if you're not fit enough to do it, nobody's interested.
100%. And then it was after that, it was a little while after that, I went for the tryout. And you probably hear this from everyone you speak to, but you just don't know. Like, it went great. Everything we done was good, but it was like, well, everybody was quite good. You know, like, we didn't do anything that made me feel like they would stand out enough.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do extra work on Raw. It was supposed to be me, Jordan Devlin. They weren't actually going to use Tyler at the time, which is crazy because he looked too much like Jack Gallagher, and that was why. When he started out, if you go back and watch him when he started out, I think it was James Drake then instead, and somebody else. I think it was like a pretty big name was going to be in it. It might have been Neville. It was going to be like a 5-man scramble.
Yeah. Neville's now called the Bastard in AEW.
Yeah.
And he's fucking awesome talent.
Oh, he's unreal, man. Unbelievable. Such a good lad as well. Such a good dude. I worked him in Courage before it folded, and he was just so good to work with. He was when I did the tours as well, so I did like the house show in the Odyssey and the Dublin house shows, and he was on them, and it was him and Austin Aries was there at the time. I'll never forget this conversation because at that time I was like, right, I need to be 14 stone, I need to be 14 stone, so it's just eating and bulking. Like, if you go back and watch me in the tournament, the first one, you'll see like a massive difference in my physique.
Yeah.
So it was like probably bigger, but it was definitely like carrying way more body fat. And it was until he turned around and told me that he was lighter than me, I was like, what on earth? Like, this guy, he was running about with like a Juventus top on, and I swear you'd think he just put 2 balloons in the shoulders. Insane shape, like. And after that, I was like, right, that's it. I just want to get lean.
Yeah.
Because it just transfers on TV.
But you imagine there was a shift as well in WWE at the time. In fact, in professional wrestling at the time, away from the gigantic guy. You had come out of, smaller guys had made success. You look at Bret Hart for a successful, in inverted commas, smaller guy. Well, Hart's not a small guy.
He's huge.
He is enormous. He's fucking enormous.
Because
they call him
he was on that AWR tour. Actually, it was like a farewell tour for him. And he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
He may be 6'1", 6'2", but he is shredded. He was a massive guy. And you can tell how big he was when he stand beside somebody like Jim Neidhart, sadly no longer with us, who was another monster of the game. And yet Bret and him, yes, okay, Neidhart had a great deal more body fat and weight, but Bret was fucking gigantic. Huge chest, huge traps, huge shoulders. But the WWE at the time was working big dudes. There was Sid, there was The Undertaker, you had obviously Big Show. All those guys were enormous. So they then went into like a smaller wrestler, and then as time went on, more the Ortons, the more ripped and shredded dudes that they had at the time.
Yeah.
So there was a shift into that athletic appearance, and I hate using the term legitimate because it's not really fair, and a more legitimate style. There was a high-flying style post-Hardy era where they, and Rey Mysterio, who I know how wonderful Rey Mysterio is, don't get me wrong, but he was never my style of wrestler. I didn't really like that lucha style. And there was a focus then on high flyers like him, but I think that a guy like you fitted that as a leaner, smaller, agile, could fly, could also work strong or stiff style wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, you fit into that, and more than that, you fit the British style of wrestling more than the US.
Yeah.
So with the guys like Regal too, did you have any input with William Regal or Steve Regal at the time?
Yeah, I actually got on really well with him. So he did, going back to that story, actually, we were supposed to do that match on Raw. And we did a seminar with Regal, but it wasn't physical. It was literally just him talking for 2 hours, but it was amazing. You know, you learned so much. And it was Laurinaitis actually came over during the thing. And you know when you kind of get that feeling of like, oh, something's up here.
Mm. And
everybody kind of looked at each other because he was like, oh, can I speak to you? And he came back, and the scene in Regal's face, he was just like, lads, I need to have a word with you here. The match has been pulled. Vince wants Strowman to do another segment on Raw, and we were all just kind of like, But it still kind of worked out. It was just crushing because you were like, because you'd been selected for that extra talent role. You thought you were going to get to actually kind of perform or do something. And obviously in our heads, we're like, oh my God, we're going to be on Monday Night Raw here.
Yeah, fuck.
And just it took the wind out of the sails. But he was so good in terms of, he was like, listen, opportunities come and go. They'll come again. Don't walk around mad or don't get angry or don't kind of show that you're annoyed. Just still be positive and stuff. So he was so good that way. Like, you know, he kind of understood that everybody would be kind of gutted. But he knew what way to kind of talk to us to make us feel good again.
He was he was a very underrated performer.
Oh man,
criminally underrated performer.
Unbelievable. Even when he was explaining stuff to you, he'd just be like, your face needs to be like this, and you'd be like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said so many things in that I still to this day when I'm coaching, I'll say, look, this is one of the best things I've ever heard. And it goes back to like what you said at the start when you were talking about Austin, and you're like, oh, Austin really had, like, if you think of the GOATs or the best of all time, Austin has to be up there.
Yeah.
Triple H has to be up there. Taker has to be up there. It didn't do a lot of moves. Do you know what I mean?
It was their persona.
Yeah.
He really, I suppose Undertaker's transcended, 30 years now of wrestling, really transcended 5-6 different eras. Austin encapsulated one whole era, and Triple H, he encapsulated 2 eras, really. He was able to attitude and now the more modern era of wrestling too. I mean, Triple H is still really, really relevant. As you pointed out, they didn't need to do the high fly spots. They were able to sell the crowd, sell themselves with psychology, and make
100%.
everything that they did fucking believable. Like, you believe when Austin gave you the 2 fingers that he fucking hated you, that he hated the boss so much, you know. It's the same as Triple H. You know, whenever he locked up the pedigree and he made the sign to the crowd, that was it. It was done. You know, that was such a believable finish. You know, you weren't going to get that from, I'm using Mysterio as a terrible example. This makes me sound like I hate Rey Mysterio. But like the Mysterio 619, you're like, so what? You know?
Yeah.
And I know it is a strange. And that's around the time again with Bradshaw as well and Mysterio, and I just didn't think that was believable. I just didn't think I was believable fun.
I think the thing that he actually said was, and I'll give guys like 5 minutes and be like, right, give me a 5-minute match, and they'll try and pick 25 minutes of stuff into a 5-minute match, you know what I mean? And then it just goes to shit.
It's lost.
He sort of said, he was like, just think of it like this. I don't think he used Austin and stuff. I can't remember who he used as an example, but he was like, people don't care about the moves. They care about how you make them feel. And I was like, bingo, that's pro wrestling 101. That is so good.
Yeah.
And if you look at the indies now, sometimes I'm just like, I've got a headache watching this opening spot because there's so much going on.
So much going on. I watched, we were at OTT, and it was Damian Corbin and David Starr.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Utterly outstanding. There was nothing that was too laboured. There wasn't immensely amount of crazy spots in it. You were engrossed in what was happening simply because of the way those 2 guys could perform. They were absolutely out of this world. They were brilliant. So that's a very good point from Regal there about how. But even like you and I talking about wrestling now, you can tell there's bits that we're talking about that made us feel great at the time.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
a spot in a match or a match in general. For me, it was WrestleMania 13, Austin and Bret Hart I Quit match
Yeah.
with Shamrock as the referee. Fucking
Oh,
amazing.
that's great.
See, even now, like
How
going back
jacked,
to
how jacked was Ken Shamrock? Jesus Christ.
fucking, like you get again tell that literally the first 4 rows of people would have tested positive for steroids because of those
Oh,
3
man.
people.
Same.
But that was a fantastic match. You know, the Hart with a mask of Austin with a mask of blood passing out into the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
Fantastic, really immensely believable. The animosity looked like it was real. There was an element of legitimacy with Shamrock leaving the UFC and following that. He fought in Pride and everything. Obviously, he fought in Pride.
Yeah.
Exact to the balls and full of gear, and nobody was getting tested. It's fucking
Yeah.
insane. So, but that was a wild west, you know, of MMA and of wrestling. And so, but it's an interesting take on it. So you found out then that you're going to be taking on Tyler Bate in a main event for your first foray into NXT.
That was crazy because the way they had sent, so you basically got sent the bracket, and when I read the bracket, I thought me and Tyler were opening the show. So that's just the way I looked at it.
Yeah, because you guys were set up on the top left as you look at the screen.
Yeah.
And
So I just thought, right, we're opening the show, sweet, awesome. And then we got there, and we kind of had like a meeting in the back, and we were calling out the matches in order. And a few lads had kind of been pulled from TV, the dark match. So everyone was obviously sitting there going, oh, God, I really... Not that, I mean, the dark match is still great, and it's still good exposure, but obviously you want to be doing the TV, and especially when you've went away for, like, your family and your school are all expecting to be able to watch you, your friends and stuff. So I was sitting there and the matches were getting called, and I was like, oh man, why is my match not being called? And I went on and on. I felt like an hour, but it was like 5 minutes. I was sitting there and I remember just absolutely shitting myself. I was like, oh, I don't even want to text my mum here and be like, oh, I've been cut from TV, I'm doing a dark match. And then they're like, main event, Tucker, Tyler, and everybody just looked and I was like, holy shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was phenomenal. Like one of the whenever I was away doing all the NXT stuff, there was always stuff like that happening to me. And it almost became like a running rib. Like everybody would just come and ask me like what, or they would actually come and ask Jordan because me and him always ended up rooming together. And he was like genuinely lucky the Irish, everything went smooth. Like he came off the plane. He was like, I came off the plane, my bag was already there. I was good to go.
Yeah.
You know, he was just her sitting pretty, like he was nailing it. And one of the best ones ever, and like he still to this day, he still cracks up at it. It was we were doing the like getting our tests and stuff done for trials, like blood testing and stuff like that, and then we're having like meetings to find out what was actually going to happen in the tournament itself. So we didn't even know it was a tournament at that point. Nobody had a clue, and we went to the Intercontinental Hotel. Now this is like a beast of a hotel, like a 5-star one in London. And we get down into the meeting part, and I was kind of like, why is everybody, still got their cases in their bags? I was like 2 hours early. I went to the desk and explained, oh, I'm here with the WWE, and they're like, oh, you're not on the list. So I started panicking, and the girl goes, look, when they get here, they can sort it out, but if you want to give us your card, we'll not take any money, but we'll take a pre-payment, and then we'll put it back on your card when they come and sort it. So I thought, right, I want to get myself settled, I want to get my stuff up into the room, and I want to relax for a half hour. So, sorry, buddy.
That's it.
I might have to move this down to the floor. Give me 2 seconds. But so I was like, right, I'll relax for half an hour. I went up to this room, and there was like a guy, those hotels where the guy actually takes your bag, so it's like really fancy. Well, I'm not used to that, you know what I mean? So
fuck, neither am I. I wish I was.
This guy comes over. I'm just going to make this switch here on 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's need to get a plug. So then this guy comes up. Yeah, I was sort of high on life at the time. There we go. Back there. That should be it now. Get this set up some sort of way. Might have to sit on the floor here.
Oh, that's no problem.
That might work there, actually. Sorry, really. This is the technical difficulties I told you about.
This is it. The real life aspect of podcasting. This is how Joe Rogan fucking gets it done so well.
There we go.
Perfect.
We got to the hotel, and then everybody started weighing in. Then maybe half an hour later, I was like, "Why is everybody carrying their cases around? This is crazy." And a guy turned around to me and goes, "Oh, this hotel's unreal. It'd be great if we were staying here, wouldn't it?" And my heart sank. I was like, "What do you mean?" It was like a 26-page email, and I'd missed like the last page of it. So I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "We're staying in the Holiday Inn down the road." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Right, okay." And then the next thing, Brookside comes. He puts his arm around me. He's like, "Right, son." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And he was like, "Right, we're heading around here." He's like, "Have you got a bag?" And I was like, it's already round there, because I didn't want to say, "Oh, I should have put it up in this room." So my heart's pounding, man, and I'm like, "Oh, I fucked everything up, and I haven't even got there yet." You know what I mean? And at the time, me and Jordan were using the same girl for gear, and he'd had like stuff made, but she gave it to me just in case it wasn't posted in time. So we get round, and I'm kind of sitting like, heart racing and breathing heavy. My palms are sweaty. I don't even know what to do or what to say or how I'm going to get out of this. And Jordan turns to me and he goes, "You okay?" And I was like, yeah, mate, all good. And he goes, "Don't panic, man. You've got this all day. You're here for a reason." And I was like, "Mate, you don't understand." And he goes, "I do, man. I know how you're feeling." And he's way off the page. And he turns around to me and he goes, "Oh, have you got my trunks and stuff that Amy made?" And I was like, "Yeah, mate, I do." I was like, "But they're in my room." And he goes, "Oh, sweet. Have you been to the hotel? What's it like?" I was like, "Sort of, mate." I couldn't even speak. And he goes, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, mate, I'm not." And he goes, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I've checked into one of these rooms." And he goes, "What?" And I was like, "I didn't realize we're staying in the other hotel." So he's just in a wrinkle, and I'm freaking out. And then Regal kind of says, "Right, if you need to go and get your bags or get stuff from your cars, go and get it now." So I'm like, sprint to the reception and trying to explain to this guy what's going on. And he's kind of playing hardball with me. And it was like, I think it was like a £500 charge for this room. This room was immaculate. And I still have the video of it somewhere. And I walked into this room and I'm like whistling and singing, and the TV's on the wall and you can control the bathtub from the outside wall. It was crazy. And I get to the reception and explain to the guy. And eventually this girl comes over and goes, like, "It's okay, go and get your stuff and come back down to refund me." But this whole time I'm looking around reception, making sure like Regal and all doesn't see me. So I pulled my bag out, and the same guy who kind of greeted me whenever I went up, I was like, "Oh, hello, sir," because I'd actually gave him a tenner, because I was like, "Oh, buzzing, happy days," and gave him the tip. But I seen him again. I was like, "Oh no, this guy's gonna try and take my bag," and he was like, "Oh, let me take it." And I was kind of like, "No, like, I'll take it. It's okay." And he didn't really speak English, so he had no idea what I was saying. So eventually this guy's pulling my bag, and I'm like, "Oh my God, they're going to think I'm some sort of mad diva, thinking I am somebody, having this guy carter my case around." So eventually get down to reception, and I'm trying to get the bag off. I was like, please, just give me my bag. And I reached into my top pocket to give him another, I thought it was a £5. Works out it's a 20, and I've already committed. I'm like,
No.
This guy absolutely loves me at this point. Hand it over to him. I'm dripping sweat at this point. And eventually get back and I sit down and I just take a big deep breath, and Jordan's like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Man, that was traumatic." And I felt the boys and all them, they were all popping like mad. But this kind of stuff, honestly, mate, you wouldn't have believed. Every time we were away, something like that was happening to me.
I think that's part of the game. It has to be part of the game, because
yeah, 100%.
In that life, you're traveling around so much, so often. If you didn't have travel stories, like I've got loads of, being in different parts of the world, and there's all crazy bullshit, mad stories that you have to tell. If you didn't have that, those experiences are what makes those trips brilliant. Yes, show and all the other stuff that goes along with it is tremendous, but it's the experience. It's that little life snippet that you'll go, "Oh, fuck, do you remember the time I thought I was staying in that fucking hotel, made a dick out of this?" I love that. I love things like that. It's so much better.
We had Dean Almark over actually for a seminar not too long ago.
Who was that, sorry?
Dean Almark. He wrestles in England. He's on. Check him out, man. He's unbelievable. Yeah. And see, in terms of like technical, he can do every style of wrestling, but see his technical wrestling, man, it's genuinely the best in the world potentially. He's so good.
Yeah.
But such a nice guy, and me and him kind of had it. Like, he was doing extra work when I was doing my tryout, and me and him just got on really well from then. And then I ended up doing the All-Star camps. Have you heard of those? Brian Dixon's.
Yes, I have indeed, yeah.
So I did the camps with him last summer, and just brilliant crack, man. So you're doing 3 matches a day, every day. Just traveling around, basically, like the holiday camps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was over for a seminar, and I was telling him all these stories, and he was like, "These are unbelievable," and he was in tears, laughing. He goes, "But you're stressing the life out now because I need to get to the airport now because I don't want to miss my flight or I don't want to lose my bag or whatever." You know? But you're right, mate. It is. It's all part of it. Like,
it is. It has to be part of that. So you took on Tyler Bate. You didn't get the win on the night against Tyler Bate.
Yeah.
And then eventually you run a WWE NXT show here in Belfast.
Yeah.
And you came away with a victory on that night. It was Connor's, was it? Connor?
Oh, it was actually Raw, I think. It was like WWE Raw.
Yeah.
Me and Connors were on the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that must have been a phenomenal experience.
That was unbelievable, man, because Joe was one of my best mates when I was out there as well.
Yeah.
So it was super cool to kind of get to do it with him. It was initially supposed to be me and Pete for the belt, because what they were going to do was have Pete wrestle wrestle the guy who was from, say, Belfast. It would have been me, and then it would have been him and Jordan in Dublin kind of thing. But I think they needed him. I think he was kind of heading up to the NXT main roster at that point.
Yeah.
You know, they were kind of testing the waters with him. So he'd been pulled for like something else in the States. And then I thought, oh, geez, am I not going to get the wrestle here? What's going to happen? And then it ended up me and Joe, which was great because we got on so well. That was unreal, man. Like, I'd say the Tyler match and that match are up there with my 2 favourite ever times in wrestling, because my family and stuff came to the Odyssey one, and they gave them like front row tickets and stuff, and like looked after them so well. And the fact that I could look into the crowd and see, like, my mum was there, and then my best mate as a kid, he was kind of there, and he was always the one going, "Oh, you'll go to WWE." And obviously, when someone says that to you and you're living in Belfast, you're like, "Ah, mate, like, it's unattainable." But obviously now it's so different. So he was there, and it was just really, really nice, great experience, like, you know. And we did the Odyssey a few times, but I did the Free Arena twice and the Odyssey once at that point. But the first time I did the Odyssey, it was me and Jordan getting squashed by Strowman, basically. So we just did like a running spot, and then Strowman's music hit, and he came out and destroyed us, basically. And talk about a big dude, man. He's
another dude he was a fringe strongman before his transition to wrestling, you know. And when you think of somebody like that, how big he is, how athletically gifted for a big man he really is, he was crazy. Not even considered as, you know, a decent strongman. You know, when you think, oh fuck, what are these creatures made of? You know, really, it just shows you, you know, as a massive. And you think of the other stronger men that have made their way through WWE in history, like Mark Henry. And then you obviously have, what do you call it, Swiss Superman?
Cesaro,
Cesaro is a fucking animal, an absolute beast of a human being. Lashley's another one. You look at Lashley as well, you know.
Right.
And yet, dear Lord, getting crushed by Braun Strowman would not be a great experience. Probably was a fantastic experience to go, I wrestled him.
He was actually a gentleman as well. Really, really nice guy. Like, really nice guy.
So from then on, you ended up without really a continuation of your contract with NXT.
Yeah.
And you have now moved into what's described as independent wrestling. And independent wrestling is basically just a wrestler that's out of contract with an organization.
Yeah, so I'll work pretty much. I'll do like England, quite a bit of Scotland, Germany,
France as
France.
well, yeah.
France is phenomenal, man. Like I do like a week long. It started off about must be 4 years ago now. After the first tournament, they had invited me out for a week long camp of like coaching. Now my French is horrendous, but I do, like I sort of said, I really, really do enjoy the coaching side of it, and that was probably the best thing I've ever done. Like that first one, I had to really think outside the box because you couldn't just go, no, just put your hand here.
Yeah.
Or do that. Yeah, oh, flip, how do I explain to someone who has no clue what I'm saying? And then those guys are just phenomenal. Like there's so much kind of, the way that school's ran, I'd say, is honestly the best school I've seen ever.
Really?
Such a tight wee bond, and like the way it's treated. Like you in that school, you can't actually touch the title until you win it if you're part of that school.
That's brilliant.
And I think that's awesome.
I like it. Yeah.
And the kids are so respectful, and even like the coaches and the trainers, and they treat me so, like, I get on so well with them. Do you know what I mean? And they're a lot of fun too.
It's nice to have that. I mean, that's a very nice thing, and it's somebody really paying you back for all the effort that you've put in. And I think people miss the mark an awful lot with that. That a coach now, still a competitive wrestler, you're only, what, 31 now, 30?
30 now, yeah.
Yeah, so you're really just about scratching the beginning of your athletic prime.
Yeah.
You still get 5 years, 6 years of properly, without injury, let's hope you don't get an injury, of really pushing to become a superb talent. There's nothing wrong. Guys are continuing deep into their 50s now, you know. So I'm hoping, obviously, that you will find a road back to some of the organisations, AEW,
100%.
Like AEW signed Anthony Ogogo. Do you know who that is?
Is he a boxer?
Yeah, he was an Olympic boxer for
massive.
EB. He's signed with AEW, although he has no professional wrestling experience.
Crazy. I seen he did the Tyson there the other day.
Yeah, the Jericho. I fucking love Chris Jericho, by the way, but that was superb. Jericho in general is just superb. They had Peter Belfort and Tyson together. Realistically, the scent of steroids in that ring would be fucking unbelievable. Mandalone. Tyson's, obviously there must be something in the background here with Tyson. I don't think it'll be professional wrestling, but there is talk of him making a return to boxing, whether it be exhibition.
I seen him hitting the pads and stuff. He still looks like an animal.
He does, and here's a view on it. As somebody who coaches boxers to a very good level and has boxed for fucking more than half my life, I could tell you I could have you looking like that on the pads in a matter of minutes.
It's videos, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a snippet of a training camp. Mike Tyson, you have to remember, his last outing was getting knocked dead by a guy called Kevin McBride from Monaghan. You can't attach too much to that. He's 53 years old. If he does come back, I hope he fucking doesn't come back. And I hope it's not bare knuckle boxing. Not because I don't like.
I heard that. Yeah, jeez, that's.
I fucking love bare knuckle boxing. The last two guys on this show was Rico Bon Franco, the world bare knuckle champ, and Dean Smudger Smith, another fucking awesome bare knuckle fighter. So I love bare knuckle boxing. I just don't want to see Tyson being used as a sort of circus freak in any aspect of combat sport. But I also think he's too old. I think it's crazy if he comes back, and I don't want to see it. But there's something there with him, whether it's just a promotional thing for somebody. But the spot in AEW was great. I watched that about 3 times this morning, actually, just because. And Chris Jericho, just in general, is superb.
He's the man, isn't he? So good.
As an aside to that, before I let you go, have you watched any of the Dark Side of the Ring documentaries?
I caught the Owen Hart one actually the other day. That's the first one I've seen. It's crazy.
We were talking about this yesterday, as I said, with Jack and Melvin, Super Rad MMA. Holy fuck. How depressing.
Yeah.
I've watched them all now. I've watched both series. The Owen Hart one for me was specifically depressing because on the way down, as he was, I actually remember watching that show, and as he was fighting, thankfully I didn't see that, but the referee was saying that Owen was shouting for him to get out of the way.
Move. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's so sad. And the bit where they went up into the rafters and they looked down,
Ah, it was awful,
Oh
man.
my God, my heart was in my mouth even just when it was on TV and they're,
Yeah.
it's crazy. There's some very deeply, deeply troubling elements in some of those documentaries. The one Road Warriors one is difficult to watch. The Chris
Oh, yeah.
Benoit one is fucking horrific,
Mental.
horrific. The murder of his wife and family, he left a Bible beside him and then hanged himself on his own waste machine, and how it's just
Yeah.
terrifying how badly scarred as a person he was, and the death of Eddie Guerrero leading into what happened with him was absolutely horrendous. But great, another aside as the wrestling, in my opinion, making a comeback,
Yeah.
because we're seeing it more and more. Where can people find you now? You're coaching here in Belfast. What do you call the gym you're coaching in?
I'm coaching now at Titanic Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm over there coaching now. You can find me on Twitter at Tucker_UKCT, and then the same on Instagram as well.
Where is the Titanic Wrestling coaching taking place?
Over at Blackstaff Mill, so
Mm-hmm.
just over to just off the Falls Road there in West Belfast.
Yeah, I've actually.
So
we've been in. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, the when that kind of opens up again, I don't really know.
Yeah,
it's obviously the way things are, but yeah, great wee vibe and good wee school and stuff, good bunch of kids and things, so it's been fun. I've only really been able to work with them now the last month or so, 2 months, and then obviously this is kind of sort of happening. Yeah. And I actually won the title in France there just before this all happened, so I always say when I went to France that time, it was like just as that kind of wrestling was getting a bit sour for me over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to them, I'm like, that reignited me as a wrestler and reminded me of all the good of it. You know what I mean? Just like an awesome bunch. And that last match, like I sort of said to one of my mates, I was like, I think that last match I had in France is potentially the best match I've ever had against Tristan Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully there'll be a link up for that soon. If there is, I'll shoot it to you guys.
Yeah, send it to us and we'll absolutely happily share that. So yeah, if anybody hasn't noticed, we are nerdy pro wrestling fans, and I think, as you pointed out, you're not meant to grow up. I think you shouldn't grow up. You should be watching professional wrestling. I consume a lot of professional wrestling books. I'm sure you do as well. The book by Jim Smallman called "I'm Sorry, I Love You" about the line.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I haven't read that yet. No.
I think it's the opening line of the book where he says professional wrestling is the best thing in the world. He's fucking right. He's very close to being right, and he gives his reasoning behind that, and it's a cracking book. I would also just finished Diamond Dallas Page's book there, The Undisputed Truth.
I have that. I have. What's the other? Does he have 2 books? Unstoppable?
Positively Unstoppable. Yes, Positively. That's the book I'm talking about. Yes, you know what I just said there? I just downloaded the Tyson documentary, which is Undisputed Truth. Positively Unstoppable is DDP's book. It's brilliant. Absolutely.
I have it. Actually, I need to read it. I actually have it. So
he's an interesting dude as well. Really interesting dude. Great.
Class,
great. He's like 5 lifetimes. He's a person who's lived 5 fucking lifetimes. Just a great story, and how positive and how even
Did you see him on Rogan by chance? No,
I didn't.
Oh man, crazy! Joe Rogan breaks down, starts crying and stuff. It's amazing.
Really? But is that the one shows him like Jake Roberts and the other guy who learned how to walk again?
Yeah. I think you've seen the Jake Roberts doco.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man, that's mental. So good, but just heavy stuff.
It's again very depressing, quite difficult to watch in certain times.
Yeah.
In his book, he discusses both interactions with Jake Roberts about making Roberts come and live in his house and eat this food and reinventing stuff. And he does the same thing with Scott Hall as well, two of the most talented professional wrestlers the world has ever seen, and how their lives just fucking crumble with drugs and travel and stress, and he has really reinvented them now. So it's a fantastic sort of inspirational sort of guy. But as I said, Jim Smallman's book's superb too. But that line, professional wrestling is the greatest thing in the world.
So true, especially when it's done right, man.
And he discusses about when it's done right, and you talk about Meltzer gives out the stars for the matches.
Yeah.
I think there's only ever been 2 6-star matches, and they were like Okada and Kenny Omega, both of them in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's understandable if you ever watch any of the stuff from Japan. It's fucking insane. Those two were amazing.
That's crazy, yeah.
So people can find you on Instagram and Twitter. What's your handles again? Because I talked shit over the top of it. We got talking about wrestling again.
It's at Tucker_UKCT for both Instagram and Twitter, actually. So
brilliant. Listen, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before I ask you a couple of final questions?
I suppose we've already plugged Titanic Wrestling, so hopefully, all being well, I will see them guys soon. And at I Catch, I guess that's my wee school in France as well. So
brilliant. So these are
questions
Yeah.
Longest reigning champ of all time in France, but it looks like
you can't get back anywhere near it. Before I let you go, ask these questions to everybody. First of all, are you a gamer?
Yeah. So my missus actually got me VR there for my birthday.
Oh, wonderful!
Unbelievable. I don't know if you ever seen a video of me doing VR at Cityside, Yorkgate.
No.
It near enough went viral, so I'll send that to you.
Send that to me. So if being a gamer, then you'll understand this next question. Tekken, Mortal Kombat, or Street Fighter?
Wow. Between Mortal Kombat and Tekken for me, I think. I always remember, was Tekken 3 PS1?
Tekken 2. Tekken was Tekken PS1 and Tekken 2 PS1, 2, and 2, I think, PS2.
Yeah, Tekken 2 maybe, I think. I can always remember.
King was my favourite character in Tekken 2.
Eddie Gordo was the man.
Gordo, yeah, fucking hell.
He was just he had everything.
So Tekken then is for you. Best book you've ever read?
Best book I've ever read. I read Tony Robbins' book recently. I thought it was really good.
What was that? The Awaken the Giant Within?
Yeah.
It's very really good. I read that on cassette in about fucking 2000. That's how long was it? A cassette.
Yeah, it's old, but it was great. Really good.
And finally, it doesn't matter of genre of what is your favorite film?
Favorite film, Talladega Nights.
Great film.
Unreal.
And final question for any sort of wrestling fan or combat sports fan.
Yeah.
You have YouTube open. What's your go-to match?
Probably Taker Shawn, Mania 25. Always an easy one to watch. So good.
Did you see that? It was on the Jericho podcast. This is going back a few months. They broke that down with the referee of the match.
Oh wow! No, I haven't
watched the match together, and they took like an hour of dissecting this whole match. It was superb, absolutely wonderful. Yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
It's brilliant, really, really good. It's a great insight into it. Tucker, listen, thank you so much for your time. Stay on. What I'll do, I'll stop the recording, but I'll keep you online. But thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure for me to talk to you. Pleasure for us to have you on. The stuff you were able to compete in the ring is phenomenal. As I said, you can basically do it all. You have that British strong style. You can also high fly. You look incredibly creative in any of the matches that I've seen. As I said, I rewatched some of your stuff today. So outstanding performer. Thank you very, very much for taking to our day. Folks, before I go go back and give some of the other episodes. I mentioned Rico Bonbon, Franco Ward, BKB champ was the last guy we had on. We also had superb mixed martial artist Ali McLean, have Stephanie McCluskey on as well. Smudger Smith, all these guys and girls that are on the show. So please go back in the back catalogue and watch on YouTube. And to find us on the socials, which is definitely a thing, no matter what Phil says, socials is actually a thing. You can look up for Not Another Fightcast on YouTube, at Not Another Fightcast on Instagram, and at Not Another Fightcast on Facebook. If you want to follow me, it's at the _icon on icon77 on Instagram. So it's just basically boxing videos, pictures of my dog, and some recent mountain bike stuff. It's not really all that interesting. But also do go and give Not Another Fightcast a follow. Please also go and follow my co-host, as I said at the start of the show, Mr. PC_commentary, who is producing some fucking comedy gold at the minute. of some entertaining fights. Look at it's the most adorable little dog. My little dog's sleeping in behind me here. So listen, folks, thank you very much. We have been Not Another Fightcast. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to listen or watch the show. Thank you again. Please go and give us a like, subscribe, and a share.